All right, welcome to our weekly Los Angeles County Real Estate Investors Association live podcast. We do this every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, and it's recorded live stream onto YouTube, Facebook, and other social media. I'm Bill Gross. I'm the host. This is affiliated with the program that Lloyd Siegel puts on. We were just there last week on Thursday. This is the website for it, LAREIC.com is the shortcut. It's the LA County Real Estate Investors Association. And we get an event every month. We get about 250 people there, and we have a vendors expo, about 50 vendors. Last month's guest was Brad Sumrock, and we don't have this one's up yet, the new guest. On Saturday, the 24th, coming up a week from Saturday, is Lloyd's Basic Bootcamp, a great program if you're new getting started in investing, wholesaling, as a career, live in person. It's $140 if you sign up before the 17th, which is a great deal for basically all-day training on a Saturday at the Iman Center. And so I'd love to see you sign up for that if you're interested, and feel free to ask questions or reach out if I can help in any way. And let's see here. We are looking for our guest. Let me see if I can find him real quick. And I want you guys to feel free to, if you have any questions, to type them in the chat box. If you're watching on the live stream, we'll watch you and watch for questions to bring you in. And there he is. There is our guest, the man of the hour, longtime friend, superstar in real estate, longtime real estate superstar, Wade Wright. What is up, Wade?
Gross. How are you, my good friend?
Much better now that you showed up. Thank God. I can only tap dance for so long. But no, I'm really excited to have you because you really are a great resource on business in general and in life. And I think in particular, real estate investing, I think in particular, what people watching today are going to be interested in seeing is learning about investing in real estate outside of the market they live in. So let's go back to the beginning real quick so people have some context of who you are. Give me an idea of how did you get into real estate?
Well, thanks, Bill. It's always an honor to be on these live streams with you. So I was with United Parcel Service for 7 years. I loaded trucks as fast as I could to pay for my college education. And then when I was a pilot at the time, so I went into air operations. Actually, I was one of the pioneers that started the parcel next day air delivery on Ontario Airport. So I had a great education there. And then I had an uncle that did very well in real estate. He did a lot of the distress sales real estate. And he'd always ask me, how's things going with UPS? I said, great. One day he came to me and said, hey, you probably know exactly how much money you're going to make in the next 5 years, what the next steps if you're on the right track, don't you? And I said, yeah. Without even knowing about personality styles, and I was a high options guy. He said, why don't you come to work with me and I'll teach you the ropes and we'll buy real estate together. So that's all I needed to hear. I had other opportunities to get ahead in life. I started with him, but they say, I love my uncle, and they always say you pick your friends, not your family members. He was very wealthy, and after about 6 months, he wanted to start playing tennis more and not work that hard. And I'm like, come on, Unc, I want to learn this, and so he cut my pay in half after 6 months. And then 10 months later, he fired me because he didn't have any more work for me. So that was my introduction to real estate. So I spent most of my money at that time. And so I scrambled and got my real estate license and started selling houses this goes way back to May of 1988. So you learn by life lessons. And I started taking some of these assessment tests and found out that I was high economic, meaning that money mattered to me. Despite being a Christian, I learned finally that it's not the love of money. It's not money that's the root of all evil. It is the love of money that's the root of all evil. And where was I putting that money? So I realized I can be an advocate for people. I could grow wealth myself, and I can teach others how to do the same thing. So my whole attitude changed, Bill. It's been a great journey. I love my uncle. He's already celebrated his 103rd birthday. He's still alive.
Wow.
Yeah, and now
Wow.
it's just amazing. Now his son is taking his footsteps, and I'm teaching his son real estate. It's such a funny how life works in this big circle, that we are on.
Wow. So you operate as a real estate broker as well, right? You sell houses for customers?
That's correct. I have residential and investment. I'd say my niche or forte, if you will, over the years has been able to help people to get away from the mentality of traditional ways to build wealth and show them how they can take the equity in their real estate to retire 4 to 5 times faster than the conventional means. And, I look at California, you say, okay, wait, now you're investing out of state instead of California. I think at one time I had as many as 13 properties in California, went through a nasty divorce, lost just about everything, and had to start all over at age 51. So I did learn some lessons along the way. And I started learning to be more of a business-minded individual instead of just, hey, this is a good opportunity to make money. There's much more to it. You got to look at the downside as well as the upside. So I've come to the conclusion in the last, I'd say since about 2013, that California has kind of lost touch with reality, Bill. They've become more progressive, business killing state. They're now we're seeing fiscal irresponsibility, and the state's burdened with debt. They're trying to impose dumb things like exit tax for people for a period of 10 years for leaving the state. This assembly man, Alex Lee. It's like, instead of forward thinking and business minded, this dictatorial, we're fearful that we're losing money. Let's scare people into not leaving the state. It just doesn't make sense anymore for me to be investing in the state. So now I help investors take money out of California, Bill, and they invest in other states that are A, more tax friendly, B, more landlord friendly, and no rent control. They offer better cash flow. They have similar appreciation rates in these other states. That's always been the cause to stay from California, is that their appreciation rates are higher. Well, that's no longer valid. You know, Lower entity renewal costs, like when you're setting up entities for asset protection, you're looking at $50 to $150 a year in other states versus $800 per entity in California. Much lower sales prices. So it makes more sense for everybody to focus on other states with those benefits, and also not get caught up in the traditional means of retiring. What is retirement today? Most people, unfortunately, are not going to be able to retire, Bill. It breaks my heart. It saddens me that you can look. If you look at the number that people have in their retirement, their savings, based on their lifestyle and what it costs to live in the state, most people are broke in about 8 years. And I contend that does not have to be the case. So I subscribe to the infinity number philosophy, and that is, how much money do you need to earn every month or every year to pay your bills on time and live the lifestyle that you want to live, right? So if you can replace your current income with cash flow real estate income, you don't have to worry about factoring inflation. You don't have to, which is a devaluation of our dollar, which we have no control over. If these guys are so fiscally irresponsible, how long you're going to live, you don't have to worry about that anymore. Or what interest rate you have to earn. Long term, both real estate prices and rents, they're always surpass inflation. All right. So I just keep it simple. I look at their end number. What's the lifestyle that they want to accumulate? How much money? It doesn't matter if they want to make $1,000 a month or $1 million a month. The numbers are the numbers. It just tells me how much real estate they need to own, or how much cash flow that we need to create to replace that income. That's not even talking about the after-tax benefits, Bill. I mean, if you look at the 5 economic benefits of owning investment real estate, you have the appreciation we talked about. That's both in prices and rents. You have leverage. Where else besides, like stock buying puts and options or something that's very risky? Where else can you tie up 80% of an asset with 20% down payment, right? Most areas today, you have to put about 25% down to break even. California, it's like 40%, which tells us when our median sales price in my backyard is $951,500. I don't know about you, but I don't have an extra 40% laying around just to break even, right? So looking at these after-tax benefits, you not only have the leverage, but you also have the mortgage pay down. That tenant is paying down and eventually paying off your mortgage. And then you have your depreciation on the building. And then lastly, we talked about that cash flow that's coming in. So that's what I get passionate about now at 61 years young, knowing that I'll probably be on this earth for a long time. I have a lot of people to help, and I want to be their advocate.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. For those of you watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, if you're watching it live, I'm tracking the comments. Feel free to ask questions there and participate. If you're watching on the replay, feel free to put your comments there, and I'll catch them afterwards and either answer them or route them to Wade. But here's a chance to talk to somebody. I talked to so many people last week at the LAProbate event who wanted to go from, hey, I have a good job, I have some extra money, to how do I get to financial independence, or how do I get to retirement and live the life I want to live? And here's a guy who's taken those steps and helped other people like you take those steps along the way as an active investor. So we're not talking today, I don't think you offer any kind of coaching program or mentorship other than as an agent you help them buy property, correct?
Right. Once, we both agreed to work with each other, Bill, then I'm going to give my all to that individual or that family, if you will.
As an agent, you're going to represent them and help them buy property.
Yeah, because then now I know their own individual needs.
Right.
And I encourage attorneys, CPAs to be a part of the conversation, so we're all on the same page. I think that it is strength in numbers, and it's having the right people that's going to support you along the way, right? I know a little bit about taxes, but I'm not a CPA. I know a little bit about real estate law, but I'm not a real estate attorney. I'm not an estate planning attorney. I go to a lot of classes and understand it for myself, and then I interview these people and I bring them together, and they can bring their own individuals. I learn as much from my clients than I do from my own research.
And when you say you only know a little bit, is that because you went to UCLA or?
Oops, I know you Trojans overpaid for your education. I know.
I was on scholarship. I got paid to go to USC. So, okay. So let's talk about. I know that you meet people who have never invested before, have the money, have the need, but just don't have the oomph to write the check and get committed. And yet you have other people who've got that same spot. I look at that as like a high dive, right? The people get to the high dive, get to the edge, toes off, look down, and some just jump, and others are scared and have to climb back down, climb of shame down. What's the difference that you've seen in the people who've been able to jump off that first time and get started?
Bill, I've come to the conclusion that everybody is different for different reasons. It may be their proclivity, the God-given behavior that they possess, or it may be life events that cause certain fears and trepidations. So I say just embrace who you are and where you're at in your life event. Fortunately, I had good people around me when I went through my divorce, and I latched on to some better people with better mindset than I had at the time. I had a lot of educational background, but my mindset was in the tank. So I had to surround myself with somebody to help me with possibility thinking first before I could take that first step.
It's so interesting. So tell me then, and I believe that's true, that 9% of all transformation starts with mindset. So where did you find the material to feed your mind positively? What was the organization or group, and what was the book or text, or what was it?
I would say it's a multitude of things. I subscribe. I have a mild ADD. It's no longer ADHD, the hyperactive, the attention deficit disorder. So I've always been one of those persons that could actually glean information on my own. But I immediately, since I have difficulty reading for any duration, I signed up to audible.com. It's like $15 a month, and you get a book every month to read. So there's 12 books right there. Then I started getting really interested in other elements and suggestions of books from others. And so I started doubling the books. So I'd read, 24 books a year. So Audible was a good start. My mentor in real estate was Mike Ferry. For those in the real estate industry, Mike Ferry was kind of a pioneer, more so than his innate ability to reach out to people around him who were happy to share the knowledge or like being on the spotlight, well, for whatever reason. It accelerated my growth. And then most importantly, Mike was a master at his mindset. And he had mentors like Earl Nightingale. He actually went to work for, he was a young man in his 20s. Multitude of people that are bigger thinkers. So I like that AA saying, your greatest thinking, your best thinking is by yourself. You cannot grow. Your best thinking got you to where you are today. You can't grow unless you're surrounding yourself with bigger thinkers. And then all of a sudden your mind starts saying things like, what if? Well, what if I could do this? What information do I need to gather? Anytime somebody tries to sell you a get-rich-quick scheme, it's usually that. It's a scheme. They don't know anything about their profession, and they're just making money. If they tell you it's easy, they're lying. I learned a long time ago, tortoise in the hare. Tortoise always wins the race. I'm not that intelligent. I have a little.
That's for sure.
Yeah, you know that. A little above average IQ, but I'll outwork everybody. My persistence will beat most people, and they're intelligent.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. You covered a lot of things, and I think it's such an important area. It doesn't sound like the work that people need to do. It's not what they want to hear. But I'm not selling anything, so I don't really care. I'd rather tell the truth and help those who are serious, and the ones who are looking for the easy answer, go somewhere else. You mentioned Audible as a resource. That's $15 a month. And people say, well, that's a lot of money. So many people spend money on cable TV, 10 times that, to pollute their mind. And here you're spending $15 a month to enrich your mind, enrich your mindset, to strengthen your mind. It's so true. Not only that, though, you can, for free today, find a lot of stuff online. For example, one of my favorite books is 10X by Grant Cardone. If you go to YouTube, there's an audio version for free. Think and Grow Rich is online on YouTube for free. Greatest salesperson Augmentino is online on YouTube for free. So there's more free stuff. You can also online PDF books you can download for free. Now, is that the latest book, the greatest book? No, but there's a lot of great stuff for free that you can get if you can't even afford $15 a month. I assure you can get $15 a month. It amazes me. The lady who comes clean our house once a week, she goes to Starbucks and buys like a $5 or $6 drink every week. I make coffee at home to save that. Now, it's not that I can't afford coffee. I would just rather spend my money on personal development than on coffee that I can make on my own. So that's a great one, is the Audible and listening to books. So do you listen rather than read it? Because you use the word reading interchangeably. It's really digesting is really what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, and someone asked me if I read a book. I'll tell them I read a book where I really didn't read it. I listened to it.
Same.
But I can tell you that I have absorbed as much information as that person that read it, because I'm very auditory, and with my ADD, I can hyper focus on exactly what that person's saying.
Right.
And I'll take notes along the way, that I think are pertinent to growth in my life. You pointed out some very good things, but you can get so many books for free now online just by Think and Grow Rich by Earl Nightingale.
Free.
I did 2 or 3 different PDFs out there for free.
Yeah.
It may, instead of downloading it or printing out multiple pages, fine, just read it read it online.
Instead of TikTok and watching some girl in a bikini, read a book. Read a book either auditory or read a book in PDF form. They're free. And then you'll make enough money we can afford to spend $15 a month if you want to buy newer books. Yeah. You also mentioned the 3 things that I think, when people say to me, how do you transform? I think in anything in life that I've transformed, there were 3 things there. I think you named the same 3. Number 1 is a leader or a coach or mentor. You mentioned Mike Ferry. I'm sure you've had some others along the way, where you have somebody who's pointing the direction and you kind of follow that direction and believe with them. It's not like they are God or a religious figure, but they're a leader, they're a mentor, they're senior to you in experience and success. Number 1. And in church, I know you've had a relationship over time with that, like I have with a rabbi. Number 2 is you have to have a group of people, community, a team, a synagogue, a church community group or learning group or Bible study group, you need other people with you to pull you along the way. Now, we haven't talked about that yet, but I know you have that in your life, in your business, in your personal life. Talk a little bit about in business. Where have you found the sense of community or teamwork or colleagues to help you in your path?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in that book by Earl Nightingale's Think and Grow Rich, one of the things he talks about is having a mastermind. And a mastermind can be accumulated in many areas of your life. I like those 5 equities they talk about. You know, we're always trying to balance these balls in the airs of our equities of life. I'm a Christian. God is first and foremost in my life. So spiritual would be the one equity. Secondly, I'm a husband. So my wife would be second in my life. So that would be the equity of family. And then we have physical health. We have financial. It's only 1/5. 20% of my being is the finances, even though it's a high number because, you know, let's face it, you know, it's easier in life if you have, you know, finances to pay your bills on time, take an occasional vacation, or give to a charity without, you know, if you don't have the time to go do it.
Entertaining and inspiring.
So just to go along with that a little bit, you know, to show you that we live in the greatest time ever for real estate, when Wade and I started the business, you had to find the book Think and Grow Rich at a bookstore,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or you're buying CD and it was expensive.
Right.
Literally today, you can go on the internet. I just Googled youtube.com and Think and Grow Rich, and I've listened to this a few times. I'm partway through it again. 10 hours of the audio book for free.
There you go.
Or I also did thinkandgrowrich.pdf. There's a free version you could read. You could download it and print it, or you can just go through and read it, the whole book. Because it's so old now, it's considered public domain. Anybody can read it. So we live in a time that never existed, where this is, I think most people, business people, if you ask the greatest book of all time, that book would probably win. It's free, literally, in audio or PDF version, right? So you mentioned your community, and then the third group, we talk about different books. Think and Grow Rich, is that the best book in real estate investing? That's mindset. What would you say is the book or two that you would recommend for people who want to learn about real estate investing?
You know, I would get on Bigger Pockets, biggerpockets.com. They always have books that they suggest. And I have purchased, some of them are not in an audible format, so I have purchased those and have taken the time to highlight. But talking about changing your mentality, there are multiple books now, even through Gary Keller Williams and their, you know, the Red Book. They also have one that's designed for investors. They have ones for out-of-state investing, one for, you know, local investing. So just start immersing yourself. But to go back to that mastermind, you can go on Facebook, Bill, and look up a mastermind group on investments, or join one of your clubs, or, you know, where you can get like-minded people that are headed in the same direction. Maybe 6 to 8 people, an intimate number, where they could be held accountable to read a chapter and then discuss it, and then maybe commit to something like, okay, let's go find out how we can invest in this other state. Or we don't have the money now. How can we syndicate it, get some friends, family members, or what's another technique we can do, like house hacking, where I could buy a triplex and with 2 of my friends, and we each live in one of the rooms until we grow enough equity in 5 years and sell it and make good money and then buy our own. I mean, there's so many techniques out there. And this is something that I like to do individually when people come to me for consultation, is find out where they're at, where they want to go, and then give them options. And because I'm high options kind of a guy. My wife is the opposite. She doesn't like options at all. We go out for dinner. If I ask her 3 or 4 restaurants which one she'd like, she's now on overwhelm. If I give her 2 restaurants, she'll easily pick one. You know, everybody's different.
Well, if you pick one, that'll be the wrong one for sure. I can say that because my wife can't actually hear this phone call, so I can get away with that.
My door's closed too. My wife can't hear me either.
My door's open. I better be careful, actually. So, Okay, so mastermind group. Of course, this group is meant to be a mastermind. The LA County Real Estate Investors Association. We have a live event once a month in Culver City. We have this call every week. You have programs like next Saturday's Foreclosure Club. So that's the whole point of this. We bring in guests like Wade so that we can find additional people to supplement a mastermind with as well. So where do you mastermind? Where do you hang out with like-minded investors and real estate brokers that give you regular support or regular insights for your business?
Yeah. So I have different masterminds, Phil, like just for my craft in real estate. I have a role-playing group that I role-play scripts, dialogue, objection handlers 5 days a week, and that is through the Mike Ferry group. These are all top agents. They have a minimum production standard, minimum income standard. They have to be into coaching themselves or having a real estate coach. So that's just one group there for real estate. Other groups would be through like this breakthrough broker, your group. You start masterminding, and what'll happen is you'll all of a sudden you'll see that they're opened up everywhere. Local communities, REOC out here, Orange County, Orange Coast Exchanger, Commonwealth Club. We have NCREA, National Real Estate through EXP now has a group that they've started. I invest in real estate out of state. I have a broker's license in California, Tennessee, and Colorado. So I'm involved in those investment groups. And they're all free. They're all free clubs. They bring great speakers in periodically. I just think there's so much education out there now for so little, if not free. It's really not an excuse for anybody anymore. If there's a desire, they get on that internet for 10 minutes and they're going to be overwhelmed with opportunities.
I think you're right. For those listening, again, we're live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Feel free to put questions in there. We'll catch them during the call. If you're watching this after the live stream's over, feel free to put questions there, and we'll get back to you on that. So, Wade, I know that one of the things you've done in the last few years is started to and completed investing in properties outside of California. Talk a little bit about the kind of properties you're investing in, and if I was interested in, I'm more interested in multifamily limited partnerships, so I don't kind of fit with what you do. But if I was looking for rental properties in those areas, how could I participate?
Well, I love it. And by the way, I'm a proponent of multifamily as well. I've been involved in many acquisitions of 2 to 4 units, 20 units, 22 units, 41 unit buildings. So I think that's great what you're doing, especially when you have a vacancy. It's a small percentage if you have multiple units versus one house sitting vacant. My preference has been single family residences in areas that are appreciating, are affordable, are around a good school system, have great job growth, tax-friendly, and small business-friendly states. And I have put my investments in the last few years in Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and now I'm moving into the Oklahoma area. I have friends that are in Montana, Arizona. Everybody has their own criteria. For me, Bill, I like a little above average neighborhood. So I'm going to get a lower cash on cash return, which we measure in the investment world by capitalized value, a cap rate. So I'm looking at states that are giving me 5-6% cap rates, which helps me to create my goal of infinite income. And, everybody's different. It might be 7 properties for me, and it might be 30 properties for somebody else. It might be 2 properties for someone else, right? Again, that's part of the consultation to find out where somebody's at, where they want to go, and create that infinity income to where it replaces their current income, and then they never have to worry about money or a job ever again.
So a investment, you mentioned 25% down. What's a typical sales price of a property like that, and what kind of return would I expect as an investor?
Great. So typically you're going to look at about 25% down. It's going to be below $400,000. It can be as low as $250,000 if your market is more of a smaller, older, smaller square footage home. My personal model is, as I mentioned, those nice areas, a little more upscale, not luxury, but upscale. And I cater to that certain class of people. They're all single level homes, well maintained. They're going to be top rent, and they're appreciating at a much higher rate, but they're also not giving me the cash flow as some of my other investments that have had a smaller sales price and maybe not a first class neighborhood, not a bad neighborhood, but not as nice a neighborhood. So one of the questions when I consult people is, what do you have an appetite for? What's more important for you? Is it cash flow? Is it tax? Are you trying to defer taxes? Are you trying to build a retirement goal of a certain amount of money? Do you want to create a legacy, which be a little more advanced planning, maybe more properties, a nonprofit at a different point in time in their life, and collect just a salary and then let it have a life of its own. I mean, what are your goals? But so that's why that's the beauty of this. It's so fluid that there's no cookie cut answer. It doesn't have to be in a mold. You like apartment buildings. I like upscale single family homes. It doesn't make you or me any better than each other. Our goals are, we're going to reach our goals by our cap rates, right? It's just a simple math. If I put 20% down in an area that's 400,000 or less, it's going to be about $80,000 invested, and it's going to generate about $500 to $800 a month positive cash flow if I don't have any capital expenditures like a new roof. But I calculate all those in my calculations. So when it happens, the money's already sitting there in an account that takes care of the larger investment items, not the operating expenses like a leaky faucet or a water heater that went out. I'm talking about roofs that go bad and more serious items.
One of the challenges when you invest in another market area is somebody has to be around to handle problems, questions, repairs, and such. How do you handle that in these remote areas? How do you find good people to work with?
You see all these star marks all over me? That's because I had to learn from the School of Hard Knocks. Honestly, it's not easy in the beginning. I mean, you could be blessed to have somebody that's done it already and already has that team and they can hook you up with them. But for the most part, you're going to have to learn from the School of Hard Knocks. You're going to have to interview multiple contractors. Many of them flake out on you or don't do the job because they know you're out of state. So you're going to have to, you may invest more in a property manager that has their own teams. And there's specific questions that you want to ask the property manager. Anybody that works with me, I'm going to give them a list of questions to ask and a contract for them to create with that property manager so you can get out of the deal if they're not performing.
If someone's interested in investing, what's the next step? With you set up a consultation, or how do they get involved?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about different areas, what their goals are, and then we can set a plan. And you just start with one property and you let them get their feet wet, whether it's all their money or if they pulled their funds. I mean, I've helped people buy property through their IRA. A lot of people don't know they could buy it real estate with their IRA.
Right.
You could finance, in many cases, up to 70%, loan to value. So only take 30% down of the sales price of the property. And that might be all the money they have in their IRA, enough for, you can go and buy a $250,000 home, right? And they have $75,000. That's great. You don't have to pay cash for it. Right. You can get what's known as a non-recourse financing, and then it's sitting in your IRA. That money's all going in there when you're ready to retire. You have the cash flow income.
Rather than some mutual fund statement that you wonder why is it not going up faster. You had the money coming in monthly into your IRA account. You see it coming in and such, and maybe sell the property or refinance it or trade it for another one down the road.
Yep.
Well, look, you're a wealth of information. I know personally, and I've watched you go, on your buying tours and find property. I know you've had really good success, and I really wanted to, I'm glad to invite you. This isn't your normal business coming on these kind of calls. We all have met the people who spend all day long pitching people, you're actually in the business. And so I wanted to share you with the friends and the network we have here through the LA County Real Estate Investor Association to make you available. So if somebody's interested in getting with you and consulting with you, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Thank you, Bill. Easiest way is just my number. It's kind of easy to remember. It's 1-800-440-WADE. So it's 1-800-440-WADE, and those last four letters spell 9233. So 1-800-440-9233.
Fantastic. And we'll put that in the description as well. And Wade, I just don't know how to tell you. I appreciate you coming on, your wealth of information. I know you've worked with some other companies as far as coaching and sharing information, but I would encourage anybody who's thinking of it, investing, particularly in single family homes out of state, particularly in the Southern Belt. Sounds like SEC country primarily. I don't know if you're a football fan or that's just where the market's good, but that's where you've been investing, and I know you have some real good expertise and contacts. So thanks so much for coming on today and sharing with us.
It's an honor and a privilege, Bill. I appreciate you and what you do for the community. You're just a great man. I'm honored to be your friend.
Well, thanks. It's very sweet of you. And for the rest of you, I just want to remind you, we do the LA County Real Estate Investors Association is our organization. We get together once a month on the second Thursday of the month in Culver City area of West Los Angeles. It's a free event. We just had it recently. We had about 250 people, and Brad Semrock was the speaker. We have a vendors expo there as well. But a week from Saturday is Lloyd Siegel's basic training boot camp, which basically covers all these topics. It's only $140 for a whole day event, almost June 24th, 9 to 6 p.m. It's a fantastic program, and I really can't recommend it enough. I think for the value, there's nothing you're going to get more than one day and learn really about the business, what people actually do. And then the foreclosure forum is Saturday, August 5th. He specifically go deep into foreclosures, which is an area that a lot of people are interested in. So again, if you have questions, comments, put in the chat box. I'll get to them, either route them to Wade or answer myself. I really appreciate you guys. We do this every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Thank you so much, and make today your best day ever. Thanks so much.